So, how many of you guys out there really miss Star Wars movies going back into theaters? One thing to take note of is that today is the day that The Last Jedi released 5 whole years ago. Can you believe that? Half an entire decade ago is when one of the most controversial Star Wars movies out there, created by Rian Johnson, was put into theaters that really divided the franchise still to this day. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, with Bob Iger getting ready to focus on a new strategy for handling the franchise moving forward throughout the next couple of years, they also have, of course, another big plan to really end the Skywalker saga once and for all on a better note than ever before. And that has a lot to do with Star Wars Episodes 10, 11, and 12, as we have discussed. This is a more distant project that they are completely focused on right now to really establish the end of the Skywalker saga that's going to be handled by proper creators, such as writers, directors, producers, you name it, and just really giving it one final shot to really just satisfy the fandom. Now, on top of all of this, we already know that Bob Iger has been getting very desperate the past couple of weeks and really trying to make things right, trying to right the wrongs as fast as possible. And the one thing I do have to say is, as long as you take your time with these projects, they're going to be very good. You know, you have to make sure that these projects are going to be built with quality and a great vision and a great purpose, right? Now that brings us to, of course, their plan for episodes 10 through 12. And we already have discussed this before quite a number of times. However, there are a couple of revisions, a couple of changes that Bob Iger is making to the plan for these new movies. Now, with the Skywalker saga initially marketed as the end with episode 9, ever since Chapek took over, he established a plan to continue with an episode 10 through 12 for one final shot at ending the Skywalker saga for good. With Bob Iger now picking up on Chapek's plans and supporting them, this new trilogy is the more distant one, but is indeed in early development. One big revision by Bob Iger for the plan on releasing a episode 10, 11, and 12 is to create a series of books first that will release starting in 2024 instead of 2025. All will be labeled as episodes 10 through 12 that will tell the origin story of Cade Skywalker. The plan for episode 10 through 12 right now is to establish the movies that take place roughly 40 whole years after the events of the last film. Many notes have already been created by Favreau and Filoni, who will be involved with the films as co-writers in the future, along with George Lucas, who handled some of the notes that have been made final. These notes are similar to what James Cameron did with all of his Avatar films for Disney. So let me just pause here for a second. Now, as you all know, James Cameron is doing and has been doing something very similar, creating notes, having, of course, creators finalize those notes, and really putting those into future scripts. The same exact thing is happening as follows right now for episodes 10 through 12. They are basically only in the notes process, where they are creating a handful of brainstorming ideas for these new movies to arrive in theaters by 2028 at the earliest. Again, their plan right now is to begin producing these new movies by 2026 and getting them out in theaters by 2028. Alright, with the first film, mind you, it's a very distant thing, I know that, but this is something that is in early development, and Bob Iger, we already talked about this, how he wants to bring out 2 Star Wars movies a year, the format being one movie being a trilogy movie, and the other of which being a one-off film. So for example, there are already 3 trilogies in the works. We have the Mandalorian trilogy, which is basically going to be the new sequel trilogy in a sense, featuring characters like Ahsoka, young Luke, Din Djarin, Grogu, etc., Thrawn, Ezra, you name it. In the theaters, mind you. The other trilogy is the Old Republic trilogy that they are also creating, and then they have this 10 through 12 Skywalker Saga trilogy that's going to end it all once and for all. And the plan is to organize those having one trilogy movie coming out a year, alternating with all of the others, and having a one-off film. The one-off movies, by the way, are the ones that have been getting cancelled, like Patty Jenkins, which, by the way, she's coming out and saying that it wasn't cancelled. There's a lot of confusion there, but Taika Waititi is another example. His is a one-off film. Kevin Feige's movie is another that's gotten cancelled. So moving on from all of this, alright, on to the next big thing. Now, on top of that, the past year, Disney instructed Favreau, Filoni, and Lucas to deliver notes about the new movies of 10 through 12. Actor Garrett Hedlund of Tron Legacy is still the focus to portray Cade Skywalker, who is planned to be the son of both Rey and Ben Solo, to continue the bloodline. However, a descendant of Luke Skywalker's son is also planned to be a focus as the other side. Now, before we get on to the next thing, they are planning to introduce Luke's son in the Mandalorian series at some point in time, when they go further, into a distant episode or a distant sequel, or, actual season, I should say. Now, the theming of this trilogy is the tale of two cousins of the Skywalker family tree, one of which being Luke's grandson, the other of which being Rey and Ben Solo's child, now at the age of 40. Much like in the comics, Cade was a more older take on a Skywalker character. So, the thing about this that I like is that they're changing the theming up, right? If you guys go ahead and look at the originals, it's about the twins, the Skywalker twins. In the prequels, it's all about the father, right? It's all about the father being, of course, Anakin. And in the sequels, it really is about the nephew, Ben Solo, adjacent to Luke. He's the nephew. And it's also about, of course, the father and the son once again with Han and Ben. It's got its themes there. But now what they want to focus on is Skywalker cousins. And I like that. That is something that we have never seen before, particularly, and that is something that they really want to touch on in these new movies. Again, they are in the very early stages. All of these are notes, but they have been finalized to be used in future scripts that's going to begin in 2025 to actually bring this into shooting phases in 2026. This is something that they are in the very early stages on and are really trying to actually get this thing moving as fast as possible. Now, like I say, guys, time moves fast. 2028, when they want to get this thing out and rolling, may seem crazy, but look, 5 whole years ago is when The Last Jedi released, back in 2017 of December. Now, at that time, the year 2023 probably looked like a very long time from now, right? At that point in time. But look, here we are, basically. 2023 is around the corner. Time just flies, and that's just how it works when you get older and older. So, anyways, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.